overseas students and don't get the student loans and then disappear back to Europe and don't pay them back. Currently 45% of EU students are in arrears in the payments of their tuition fees. So we would make sure that all overseas students, whether it's EU or non-EU, would pay the full tuition fees in the same way.
Okay.
My view is that the education system has become very, very fractured, and free schools are part of that story. One of the things that worries me, I'm bringing everything tediously back to the arts, and forgive me for doing that, but 17% of free schools put no child whatsoever in their school. 17% put no child to study art at GCSE. I think that's a disgrace that a whole school can exist and not provide any students studying the arts. And it's systematic of a kind of system which is controlled from the centre via the 8+ system which Michael brought in. So at the beginning of Michael's tenure as education secretary, he wanted to bring in the English baccalaureate. There was such an outrage about that he wasn't able to do that. But it didn't stop him. He brought in discount codes, which is the English baccalaureate by the back door, if you like. And that system sticks a code up against every cultural subject that a kid can study, and it means that there will be no child as part of their +8 studying art and music. My son, at secondary school, he's 15 years old now, but last year he had to choose his subjects. He chose art. He's very good at playing the guitar. He didn't choose music. There will be no child studying art, music, dance and drama at GCSE in this country. And it's because of Michael's idea, and it's an understandable idea, because he doesn't want to patronise people with substandard education or qualifications. But the problem with that is that it is slewing the school system, and it means that it is taking, preventing kids from studying these subjects, which could make them very, wealthy in an economy which is worth 79.
Okay, Bob, can I just ask? Somebody just asked the question: are you actually an artist?
I am an artist. I'm a Royal Academician. So I am a fully paid up member of the establishment.
And are you saying that the arts in education is mutually exclusive to science, or how do you see the two relating to one another?
No, we have to. On some levels, I agree with Michael Gove. We have to teach art and science together and in the same breath. The problem is that we're prioritising one over the other and creating a false hierarchy within the education system, which is damaging kids' aspirations. And also, it's not like how the economy of the future is going to be. I stumbled through trying to tell you all about the digital schoolhouse earlier, but it is true that we need to teach kids an idea about the digital world and visuality all in the same breath from the get-go.
Well, thank you very much indeed. We'll ask Michael if we go next, please. One of the questions is why in your term as education secretary? No, I just want to go. I'll be with you in a second. I was going to come to you next. Why in your term as education secretary did you demote the teaching of art in schools? ? And can we also go back to the issue of free schools?
Yes, of course. Let me talk about the teaching of art in schools. I don't think we demoted the teaching of art at all. That's your view, Bob, and that's why you're standing as a candidate. But by definition, in a democracy, there'll be lots of different views. We commissioned Darren Henley to draw up a cultural education plan, the first cultural education plan that any Secretary of State had drawn up. And we've committed hundreds of millions of pounds to making sure that we can support talented young people to pursue their creative potential. So, as Secretary of State, I helped endow the very first national youth dance as Secretary of State, I extended a scheme that was set up by Sir John Sorrell to ensure that talented young artists could spend time at art schools on Saturday morning to supplement the work that was being done in their schools during the week. We also ensured that the National Youth Music and Dance Scheme, which allows, again, talented young artists who are identified in school to go on to institutes, conservatoires, the Royal Academy of Dance, which will nurture their excellence. It was also the case that we ensured that every school in the country received a toolkit from the Royal Shakespeare Company in order to explain to every child what the works of our greatest playwright involved, so they could appreciate them, and we also paid to make sure that the Royal Shakespeare Company could have actors visiting our schools in order to bring the words of Shakespeare to life. I could go on at greater length.
I'd rather you like to go back to free school. Can I come back? No, you can't. I'm afraid. You've got to press on.
But they will say...
50% decline in kids.
No, I did say no, please, otherwise we'll be here all night.
But the point about free schools is that, yes, they are free. There are just over 250 free schools which are established, up and running at the moment in the country. Overall, there are something like 23,000 schools in the country. So they are a drop in the ocean, both in terms of the amount of money that they take up, and also the number of students who are educated. But what they have done is that they've given teachers an opportunity to show us, the politicians and the bureaucrats, a better way. Because the whole point about free schools is that they're set up in response to parental demand. You have to demonstrate that. And they are set up by teachers, or those working with teachers, who have an alternative vision of how good education could be. I'll mention the name of one individual who's a hero of mine, Liam Nolan. Now, Liam is an unlikely hero of mine in that he's a Labour voter and a member of the NUT. But Liam has set up 3 free schools in Birmingham, which provide children in the most disadvantaged part of that great city with a quality of education that they would never otherwise have expected. And his schools have an academic record which beats some of the children in grammar schools in Birmingham, even though they're comprehensive. And the reason for that is that they're free from local authority control, they're free from bureaucratic interference, they're free to teach the subjects that matter in the way that counts, and those schools are providing those young children, as I say, from some of the toughest backgrounds, with a chance to shine. I'll mention one other free school, and then I'll stop, please. In the London Borough of Newham, again, one of the poorest boroughs in the country, we helped set up a new free school called the London Academy of Excellence. It's only been going for 2 years, but it's already the case that more children from that school, that one school, go to Oxford and Cambridge than all the other schools in the London Borough of Newham put together. Now, these schools, therefore, can help show us the way, and they can help us showcase excellence in education. It was a huge privilege to be Education Secretary for 3.5 years, and during that time, my respect for the teaching profession only grew. And the whole point of free schools is that it gives the teaching profession a chance to show what everyone is capable of.
Okay, somebody has asked a couple of times if I can invite comments from the floor. Now, to be frank, I'm deliberately not doing this because I'm asking for the question to go to Karen, and I can see that we're trying to draw him in. Otherwise, we're just going to end up with too many people passing as their own political party commentary. I'm going to ask now for Laween to comment, and one of the questions here is, on the basis of what Michael has said and others have said, would it ever be possible for education to be please removed from government hands completely? It is a shame that every 4 years somebody starts all over again and we end up with this shelving back.